Dim? Yeah, got you loud and clear. Sounds good. Yeah, man. Nah, thanks for that. But yeah, not too much to add, but just a quick one for anyone listening. So yeah, so we become really good friends, but that's not how the journey necessarily started. So got like a soft intro into Dim's work, what he was doing. What is it? 5 years, almost 5 years ago now. So didn't actually know. 20, oh, crazy time. Yeah, time has become quite distorted, but yeah, but yeah, man. But didn't know you from a bar assault before then, and always been semi interested in this kind of space. Then got the little nudge to do the work with you, and then yeah, not only have I got an infinite infinite amount from the work we've done together, it's obviously then evolved into a beautiful friendship. And just yeah, quick context for people out there that don't know who I am, like yeah, I still don't know fully how to define myself, but but ultimately, like I'm deeply entrenched in the property space, but I and I don't want to be defined as the property guy because I feel like there's more to me than that, and there's plenty of people out there with that definition. Like for me, property as a vehicle is it. I've made yeah great amount of wealth doing that and helping others do the same doing that, but yeah, doing it in a way where I'm trying to not only trying to help them see the bigger picture and how that fits in their life as well, I guess. But anyway, hopefully over the course of time I can define that a little bit better. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at the moment. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, mm, mm, yeah, mm. Yeah, man. So yeah, could spend a long time talking about this. So I'll start and then jump in and yeah, guide me. But where did it start? First property was purchased at the age of 19. Or was it 20? 19 or 20, somewhere around that timeline. And really, it started from one of these property spruiker seminars, which I probably wouldn't recommend for people to go now, but that's how my journey started. And it's sat in one of these seminars, and even though I probably wouldn't recommend it now, I'm actually grateful that I did it because it triggered this whole journey. And it was just, and it might sound obvious now, but just like I sat in the seminar and they kind of just sold the idea of, we sold this dream of go to school, go to uni, get married, have a kid, get a mortgage, paid off till you're 70 and retire and have the good life. And I know now that whole thing's probably been repeated a lot and it's common these days, but back then when I was like 19, 20, that felt like, whoa, like, yeah, that's actually true. That is, and then, that doesn't actually sound that great, right? So, and they were kind of just using property as a vehicle to kind of break out of that cycle. And me being young and excited, I was like, damn, they're cool. Let me just dive into this. I the course itself that they were selling was 10 grand. And at that time, I didn't even have 10 grand in my bank account, right? So, sure. No, no, it's good. Yeah, and jump and you asked the question about was there a void in childhood, and probably at the time I wasn't consciously thinking about it, right? But common for a lot of people, similar from our background and coming in, our parents migrated, did it tough and whatnot. So naturally, didn't didn't grow up as in we weren't poor, but weren't well off and whatever, just like lower middle class probably for a long time. As in, I shared a room with my brother until year 12. So um, yeah, and like as in, there was a bigger story here. We moved from the UK, we had to restart for various reasons, and then came in year 10, sharing the same room. So it's like, but the crazy thing is, I never felt the lack of love. So I never felt it, even though it may have. If you look at it on paper, it may not have looked that great, but never felt it. But I guess somewhere in there, to your point, there probably was a void of money. So even linking back to what I was studying at the time, I was studying physiotherapy and went into my first lecture, and the lecturer was like, "And if you're here for the money, then you're probably in the wrong wrong place." And to be honest, at that time, as much as things have changed a little bit, money was probably a big motivator in my mind. And I was like, "Shit, I think I'm sitting in the wrong place." And from that, there was always a thing in the back of my mind. And then as I was concurrently starting this property journey, I was working sales jobs on the side, and I got to a crossroads where I had to go on full time placement with my physio degree, or otherwise I had to give up the sales leadership roles that I was doing at the time. So yeah, big decision at the time, or what felt like a big decision, but feels like an obvious decision in hindsight. Was yeah, went down the sales leadership path at that time because that firstly kind of came, it felt like it came natural to me, a gift that I didn't know that I had at the time. And then yeah, went down, yeah, I know we're talking about property, but then yeah, but it all intertwines, right? So then started down that sales journey path, and then there's a lot there. But I'll just pause for a moment because I saw you taking some notes, so you might have some follow-up questions. Nice. Yeah. He is raw as you want. Yeah. 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 Mm, mm, mm. No, no, not at all. And it's like, man, see, this conversation is very many tangents, right? From that, I can take it somewhere else too. So I'll quickly take it somewhere else, and we can bring it back. Yeah. So, but from what you just said, then, right? From what you just said, then, for sure. And I think I probably, because of that, I swung too hard on, money side, right, for a period of time. And so, and this is going to be an interesting conversation, right? Because it's, as we know, all about balance, duality, and we'll come back to all that stuff later. But yeah, so I would have swung too hard, which then led to some bad habits, right? Gambled a bit, lost, did those kind of, try to get rich faster, and whatnot, right? So made mistakes along the way, made decisions along the way that probably weren't right, trying to shortcut things. So, um, but yeah, but that was all part of the learning journey, right? And it's probably, and then I think at the point of realization of a lot of that stuff is at that time is probably when I started doing some of the work with you. So I think I figured it somewhat figured out, but when I met you at that time, it was almost perfect because then it kind of helped put some framework and thought make yeah I guess all these things were bouncing around my head and watch a lot of content, consuming, over consuming, but then it helped like make sense of it all. I guess um, man, you're articulating it much better than I can. But no, no, bang on, right? So just yeah, I'll just fast forward a little bit. So just along the yeah, so with the property, then led to quite early on, as much as there's some bad habits, because I got into those sales leadership roles, made relatively good money for my age, at that time. So picked up four properties, before the age of 24, 25. Uh, yeah, but around that kind of time, and then then there was a bit of a pause period. Just yeah, once again, capped by income, life circumstances. I went and did some self-employed work, and things like that, which kind of impact things. So it was kind of went to how do I make more money because as well. But even in those first four assets, I wouldn't say that they were perfect assets. It's kind of sold the dream of certain types of property investing and kind of and by no not that they were like absolute duds, but there's better ways that it could have been done. But anyway, once again, never fully grateful because it once again everything led to a certain thing, right? So anyway, if I fast forward and then yeah, yeah. Mm, 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 mm. No, no, 100%. Like, a lot of these things make sense in hindsight, right? No, not yeah, right, yes, but no, 100%. Um, yeah, man. So then, like, then went on that path. Then went and did like, then there was a journey of like, okay, cool. It's like, okay, once again, tangent. So bring me back if I go too far away. But the then it's like the journey of cool, going working in some places where PAYG, but made to did an incredible job there, and then but made to feel like a king, a leader, leading big teams and whatnot, and then kind of getting like learning a lot in that process and doing that, but like a bit of the golden handcuffs, like where like because every single time like you kind of almost thinking about leaving, but you're like, why am I leaving? I've got it so good and blah 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 but this constant yearning to leave is always kind of there. But then it's like, oh, I'm a like that. I don't know, the corporate job, right? Like you're the big dog. You made it to a certain point, but it's like, why am I not feeling like? Why am I not feeling good about this? And yeah, mid to mid to maybe 25 to 27, somewhere in that kind of in that kind of there. And I think yeah, and funnily enough, at that time, couldn't buy property anyway because I was kind of capped. Even though I felt like I was making big money, but like you know, yeah. So all these kind of things, like why can't I live the life that I want? And yeah, just it just wasn't feeling right. And I think that's then, and then even when I was leaving, it's just like, oh, why are you leaving? You've done, you've done the hard yards, you've done it, you've done, like I'm sure a lot of people kind of go through that. And then, but then after, then this is the hard part. Then after I left, then I felt like I had so much to prove, right? Because it's almost like I need to go back and prove that what I did was right. So, and then stepping out of like that was in the mortgage industry, and part of it was I wasn't really passionate about mortgages. Um, but then so I stepped into with that skill set, stepped into the property industry, and the truth is like for 2 3 years after that, I still hadn't got it right, So then that feeling of like I've got to prove it, you know what I mean? And it's like, and then I had to go out, and some of this work resulted in me having to put myself out there and content, and then I'm like, man, all these people from my past are gonna see what I'm doing, and like I haven't quite, I've left and I haven't quite done it yet, and and then it's like, the motivations became blurred again, right? Because as you know, because then I'm like doing it for the wrong reasons again. So different calibration that then had to happen. And once again, we can dive into that. But once that calibration and once I figured that piece out, it's been exponential, right? Exponential. And then long story short, in the last 2 3 years, I've picked up another six properties, in that time. And it's just been, even though there's a huge gap in between that felt like a mad plateau, but there was so much learned in that. And then at the other side of that, like exponential growth, exponential business growth, and as I'm sure there's so much to unpack, in that, because that's just like a thing, but that's been the journey. Mm. Yeah. Sure. No, no, happy to do that as well. And then, yeah, and then towards this is something else I do want to bring into this conversation, but we'll do it after this because it's more, yeah, but let's just do this first. So the yeah, sure. Mm. Yeah. Yeah, no, correct. So when I transitioned over into the property, like I was always doing property stuff on the side, but properly going into like a proper quote unquote job. Even see, this is the crazy thing, right? When I was dissatisfied in my previous role, that one ticked. It felt like it ticked all the boxes, but at the time, it felt like the only box it didn't tick was it was in the mortgage industry. Whereas like I thought like I've always had this yearning for property. So I actually didn't go and then take a self-employed job. I actually went into another PAYG job, but in the property industry, very similar role, leadership, growing teams. And then what happened was same trap, right? So I did the same thing for another 2 years or was there or thereabouts. Exceptional outcomes, exceptional results, but then that's like, and then it just felt like I wasn't getting rewarded for value. Paid for my time, good salary, bit of bonus, whatever, but I felt like the value I was adding to this business was like exponential. And it's just like, cool, why am I only getting this much for the value that I'm adding? And then it was at that point, after that, is when all right, cool, now I'm going to go and do it by myself, you know? And then did it by myself in a shared capacity, like other businesses where it's just like there's an overarching company, you take 50-50 split, so self employed within a thing. Once again, that was my step into the. So I think there's always been this element of a slight bit of fear, right? Because you can see as I'm transitioning, I'm still not fully going out on my own. Like, I'm like, cool, bit of a safety net, got the support, go 50-50, but it's still kind of my own thing. And then so that's when I was kind of saying there was about a 3-4 year period after leaving. I still hadn't quite nailed it because I kept doing that. And then it was only after that, cool, all right, I'm back in myself, fully self employed. And yeah, correct. I bought fully self employed, but now in like a partnership with like and I can talk about that in terms of the synergy and how that's been a magical synergy and that's been the explosion. But yeah, when I've gone and fully backed myself and did it, it's just been once again slightly hard, but whatever. Like now it's just been like exponential growth. Yeah. So yeah, yeah. Make the shift from then PAYG protection. Hmm. Good question, right? And this is, and it's, yeah, Shake, this is tricky, right? Because I feel like I talk to other people about the same thing, and it's like some people will say, okay, burn the boats, burn the bridges, and you got to go. And the honest truth is, I didn't actually do that, right? I actually, because of like the property that I had and did that stuff, I actually had like a base to fall back on. Like I didn't have to do it, but I knew if worst came to worst, I could have sell down a property. I can inject some more cash flow into myself and kind of go down that path. So, not to say that that has to be the right path, but for me, for whatever reason, like I needed the safety net, right? But and because I had the foundation and I had that, then even though it was scary, like I felt like I could just run at it and then go get it done. And it's just I guess the trigger point really was like I'm adding all this value to these businesses and to people and whatnot. And like as much as before, like it's not about the money, but it's also like fair reward for what I'm doing, right? So and it's just like after enough times of realizing why am I doing this to myself, and there was a lot of other things in there, authority complexes, and I wanted to impress the people. There's all these things which I like had to resolve, and imposter syndrome, and all the various things. But then once I kind of worked through all that and realized that, it was like, yeah, it was just an unlock to just go do it. So yeah, I think I'll just touch on it like more rather than a question. Like I think before it was like leaning too much into money and like be swinging too far and just only being money and blah blah blah. But then I think there was a lot of redefining things, and then eventually it was like almost like the focus wasn't even on the money, and the money started to flow, right? So I know we've spoken of. God, No, no, I want to talk about this. This is what I want to talk about, right? Because I've been echoing this sentiment to a lot of people around in my network recently. So, like, I actually feel very strong about it. It's like, and I'll start with a very obvious example, right? I think I actually took this one from you. So but this is an obvious example, and I think it was you that gave me this one. But even in my early 20s, all this content I was consuming was like, you don't need to sleep, make money every time if you're not sleep, if you're sleeping, you're broke, and all that kind of stuff, and you can make money. But then, like, now it's like, and it's like, it's not just saying it, it's a genuine reframe. Like, sleep is a money making activity. I think it was you, right? This is you, right? Yeah, that is you, right? So yeah, so sleep sleep is a money making activity because, like, as much as it doesn't, right, yeah, yeah, and once again, yeah, and it's much of the same thing. But yes, so for me, I think I specifically had to go with sleep because for so long, because I was like sleeping short hours and doing it, it's like I had to actually to reframe myself to feel that sleeping 8 hours is like I'm actually making money because I'm recovered, I'm feeling better, and as much as that sounds kind of obvious, for it to actually click and be real, like there's a huge reframe. But that's a very like semi obvious one. I think people will resonate with that. But then there's other ones, like just like that. Like being in a magical relationship is a money making activity, right? Like, because I'm saying this because I know too many people out there that do not give their relationships the attentions that they deserve. And most they spend 80% of the time, and I'm not going to go down the relationship path. We can save that for the next next time we speak. But like they complain about they do whatever, they come out, they complain about their partners, they do this, they do that, whatever. But if they just put a bit of energy to make that better, a lot of these other things will get better. They're like, oh, my partner doesn't get me. Like, I'm going out and working, I'm coming home, I'm tired, blah blah blah, or whatever, right? But if they just put in 20% effort or whatever over here and actually made a beautiful home, you know what I mean? Yeah, say for just using that as an example, like when I come home from work or do what I'm doing, like I'm excited. I'm looking forward to. I want to come home, see my wife, do my things, hang out, do those. And Brett, that's a money making activity. You know, because then when I'm leaving the next day, it's like I'm feeling good. Like because that's good. And there's lots of other parts, like once again, looking after your health, looking at whatever, right? There's a lot of other things, and then you look after these things, and bang, like, and so these things are the unlock, right? Because when you're actually thinking about money, you're actually forgetting some of these other things, and then they're falling apart, and because they're falling apart, your money's falling apart, So it's like, and obviously you can't do everything, and obviously you got to do it based on your values and things like that, as which we talk about all the time. But that's the real, that's, I keep using that word unlock because once again it's a word, it's like almost like unlocking another part of you as soon as you get these things right, and it's like that's the next unlock. So yeah, go for it. Yeah. Mm. mm, 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 mm. No, that's I think that's bang on. I think conceptually, like when you kind of explain this to most people, like it makes sense, right? I think everyone listening would, I think, logically it makes sense. But my question to you, right, and once again, could be too big of a question, so feel free to answer how you want to do it. Yeah, share the same sentiment with other people, what you've just shared, but everyone nods along, everyone gets it. What is the actual then blockage to then actually live it? To go out and do it, or like, even this example of like, even someone that's like one of example of someone I know, whatever, having troubles with their partner at home and then blaming that, then can't make money, whatever, right? And then I'm like, cool, like explain this kind of concept. They get it. They go do it. They fail at it once because it's not like they go do it once and quote unquote fail at it, and then yeah, just people just don't can't execute on it. Like, what would you say are the main reasons why that's the case? Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm, 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 mm. Mm. Yeah. No. Yeah. Mm. 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 Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. And I guess, no, 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 fully makes sense. I guess in the simplest words, just got to do they're not doing the work. It's like, right, ultimately, is in the long-winded way of saying that, right? Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, yeah. And then, mm, 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 mm. Cool, man. I'm going to use this point to segue into something mindful of time. So this could be a nice way to finish it, and then we can pick this up next time. Um, was going to show you at some point. I purposely placed this here to show you this at some point, and something you said, just like I got a little vision board that I did earlier in the year, and this is like, yeah, this is kind of what you're talking about. It's a visual representation of what you're talking about, the divine feminine, divine masculine. It's on there, but I'll come back to this in a second. But but yeah. So one of the examples of this whole the words that you use, the masculine, feminine, balance, blah blah blah. So one, I've had a bit of a cheat, not a cheat, for the last few years, and why things have accelerated. And I used to swing super heavily, as you know, on the extroverted side, loud, energetic. The cheat in the last couple of years, no, it's not a cheat. There's a level of awareness that led to that. But I've been behind the scenes. Like if you look, like I haven't been online, you wouldn't have seen me anywhere. I've been working quietly in the background, doing that, and then because of that, I haven't had the things that would have like quote unquote triggered me or like get into my head because people are saying stuff, looking at me, blah blah blah. Like that was all gone, and and even though in the past I thought me being the loudest in the room and that was my power. Funnily enough, I have achieved so much more in the last 3 years, 2 years, being quiet behind the scenes. The reason I'm now sharing this, and this is something I was going to ask you, but we can either do it now, but or we can save this for the next one because it'll be interesting. Is now I'm kind of come back, step back out of the shadows, right? There's a time I feel ready. There's a lot of calibrate, but as I step out, there is a small element of fear because some of these things which I think I've worked on, I don't really know until I step out. So, but I'm feeling good about it, and that was something I wanted to dive into. But man, we've had some good chats, and we're at the hour, so yeah, I'll let you. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Like I think it's like there's a lot of things I want to branch off this, how to come out in an authentic way, and all these kinds of things, and not come out, because naturally as you come out, the little bits of the ego and thing, and I hate using the word ego because it's an overused word and everyone's got their own definition for it already. But it's like as you kind of come out, a little part of you, even when you post a post on LinkedIn or wherever it may be, and a little part of you wants to check how many likes it got, how engaging it was, and blah blah blah. And as much as it doesn't matter. Like it's more stepping out now. How do I not fall into that trap again? Is the I guess the question? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm, for sure. Yeah, pretty much. And I guess we didn't really touch on it, but I guess like yeah, prior to the last 3 years, a lot of my what I felt like my success came from was being that way. So it took a lot of unwinding to really see the other side of the coin, and a lot of that was an intentional reason of why I've gone into the shadows. So it's like, and I feel like it's calibrated, but yeah, that's exactly so. So how do I know as I'm coming out that I don't go back and fall into yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm, 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 mm. No, no, as in like it all lands, and then it's all stuff that obviously through you and like try to embody up. Like I've already learned, but it's just like even though you've learned it, doesn't mean you can't fall into the same traps. So it's man, great reminders, and yeah, for anyone listening out there, and like this single point or multiple points as part of the single point has probably for me has been the most life changing. Like genuine. Like if there was nothing else I ever learned from you, like it is this. And like if anybody like listening to this the first time, even for me when I first heard it, sat there challenging you, didn't make sense to me. Like, what are you saying? Like you know what I mean? Like, it's, and I'm sure a lot of people listening probably feel that way right now. It's like, yeah, I'm following, but I'm not. Like, what do you mean, right? So, definitely, yeah, definitely, like, yeah. Once again, I remember, like, we've had multiple arguments, not arguments, but you know what I mean. That's my way of understanding by challenging, right? So, and we've had multiple of those over time to really embody this. So, man, like, yeah, I think benefit to everyone. Like, next time, whatever. I think this will be a concurrent theme that will keep coming up in everything we talk about. So it'll start landing. Um, but yeah, man, no, that's good. That's good. No, man, I think there's like genuinely on the back of this, I've got like 10 other things that I've like kind of put up. Like, I mean, it's been a lot of effort to hold it back. So, like, I'll hold it back. I'll make sure I write it down. But we can continue this next time. So, mm. Grateful for actually genuinely, and we'll dive once again. Like, I've been now when things are in synergy, you just get gifts. Like, gifts just start landing to you because you're in sync. And like with this business that we started, we'll dive into a bit more another time. But yeah, ultimately, yeah, property, like, it's a property buyers agency style business done a bit differently. But me and my business partner, we got it to a magical point, but we've kind of hit capacity, and we're like thinking about how to scale. What do we do? What kind of people? Blah blah blah. We just been wrestling with these thoughts, and genuinely out of nowhere, two beautiful people came to us. And it's like, how did that even happen? You know what I mean? They came to us. They were had their own issues with where they were somewhere else. They can see a bit of what we're doing. Came to us and like could not be more perfect. Could not be more perfect. We just finished the first week of working with them. They started on Monday. Today's Friday, and incredibly grateful. Like absolutely grateful. Like for them, And like so far, like the gift that we thought we had after the first week, it's just yeah, it's been magical. So like that's the biggest thing grateful for. Um, yeah, that's and then yeah, for those that don't know, the other one that I'm super grateful for getting close. Not really a this week thing, but a theme. Like I'm yeah, a baby on the way. You know, April 5th is the due date. Hopefully, and man, another big session to unpack and like man, and I'm seeing it more and more and like even on some of these guys that these men podcasts like Modern Wisdom and all those guys, fatherhood, like fatherhood as an unlock, and everyone's talking about it. Like I think Tony Robbins, when I talked about it, Alex Hormozy recently as well, he's just like, man, you just need to yeah, you just have a kid, that's all. And and like I'm just like yeah, I'm just so ready for that journey as well. And I'm just like, we had an appointment and whatever, and just yeah, just thinking about that. Very grateful for that part of it as well, man. So I don't think, and I yeah, don't need to add any more. Those two are like one, the first one only because it was like a magical like gift kind of experience, and the other one just yeah, just like yeah, something I'm really looking forward to, and like yeah, and once again, yeah, for another time, we can talk about the fatherhood journey as well. I'm sure in time. Right? So, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, sounds good, man. This was good. Yeah.